Good evening and welcome to the June 20, 2017 business meeting of the Council of Borough of Ringwood. This meeting is being broadcast live and will be replayed on Channel 77 throughout the week. Kelly, statement of compliance, please.
Adequate notice of this business meeting has been provided in accordance with the Open Public Meeting Law, PL 1975, Chapter 231, setting forth the time, date, place, and purpose of this business meeting by Consent Agenda Resolution Number 2017-12, adopted January 5, 2017. Through a legal notice published in the Suburban Trends issue of January 15, 2017, and through notices faxed and emailed to the following named newspapers and posted on the bulletin board at Borough Hall on January 10, 2017, the Suburban Trends, the Bergen Record, and WGHT. At this time, please turn off all electronic devices during the meeting.
Thank you, Kelly. Roll call, please.
Mayor Spear?
Here.
Deputy Mayor Martucci?
Here.
Council members Landis?
Here.
Marsala?
Here.
Schaefer?
Here.
Also present, the Borough Manager, Director of Department of Public Works, Scott Heck, Deputy Borough Manager, Borough Clerk Kelly Halowitz, and Borough Attorney Richard J. Kleemak. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Sorry.
Okay, there being no proclamations and presentations this evening, I'd like to move on to the approval of minutes.
I need a motion to approve my sheet's gone. The May 16, 2017 business meeting. Councilman Noonan was absent.
So moved.
Second.
Sorry about that.
Roll call, please.
Mayor Spear?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Martucci?
Yes.
Council members Landis?
Yes.
Marsala?
Yep.
Schaefer?
Yes.
Next on the agenda is general public comment. Anyone seeking to address the mayor and council may come forward to the microphone. Please state your name and address for the record.
Hi, Thomas Conway, 19 West Circle. Here to talk about the dangers of Peter's Mine. This should not just be a priority for Ringwood, it should be our only focus. The toxic chemicals mixed with millions of gallons of water are the clear and present danger to the residents in the Superfund site, our borough, and the reservoir. I welcome the results of the recent analysis and hope that some organization will finally test to the bottom of Peter's Mine. We need to know what is in there before we take any action. The Jacobs report was just released. That was done by the North Jersey District Water Supply Commission, and it showed that Peter's Mine is the major threat to our water supply. Moving forward with a capping solution to Peter's Mine will only make the problem worse. Excavating O'Connor and using the mine tailings as fill for Peter's Mine only makes the situation at Peter's Mine worse. Our community needs to stop the internecine warfare and come together for a complete solution. We need to retreat from this unwinnable battlefield we're in, and this is a battlefield that Ford and the EPA forced us into. And as long as we continue to fight ourselves, they win. The longer this fight goes on, the tougher it will be to heal and move forward united. We need to focus on the whole site and not the convenient trap that the EPA set for us. Peter's Mine is the priority. I've been saying that for 18 months, and the Jacobs report is merely confirmation of what we already know. Ford and the EPA are the responsible parties. Ford generated the pollution, and the EPA dragged its feet for 34 years. It's a lifetime. The only way to move forward is to focus the light on them, not you. In the words of Martin Luther King Jr., there comes a time when time itself is ready for a change. That time has come. We're missing that time by fighting ourselves. Peter's Mine is coming to the forefront as the clear and immediate danger to the residents and the environments. But the Democrats are too preoccupied with their vendetta against this council to move to the bigger issue. They want to ride the capping decision to a victory in November. They have a Facebook page. There's an article about the Jacobs report. There's women doing a dance on that page. All right, people post things, but rather than condemn that type of response, they actually endorse it by saying this is the dance they'll do in November. This is on a headline of the Jacobs report, which is not good news. It says 1,4-dioxane is spreading. It's not something we should celebrate. No one in Ringwood should. The groundwater report is coming, folks. I've been talking about that for a while. I've said repeatedly here and at our environmental commissions, the report's going to be bad. It's not going to be a good report. Who knows if there's collusion, but the North Jersey District Water Supply Commission, what did they find this site 34 years ago? Now they're suddenly doing a study on their own. Seems to me there might be a little information they got from the EPA about that groundwater report. We know it's going to be bad. We need to get a true cleanup going. A little bit about your actions. I understand and I read about some things you've done and maybe some accusations put forth. I'd like to go back. It was this council that brought 1,4-dioxane issue to light. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe it was a study issued by this council. So you brought it to light. Despite the accusations against you, you really are watching out for the health of our citizens. We've had the EPA, the Highlands Council, useless, the state DEP, the county, the North Jersey District Water Supply Commission, Edison Wetlands. None of them found this chemical. It was you. Thank you. So now we're twisting this information into an excuse to focus on O'Connor, and it seems like it's just for a chance to win seats. They stepped right into this trap set by the EPA, despite the knowledge that 1,4-dioxane is an indicator of underground plume emanating from Peter's mine. I've spoken about this many times, but the Jacob reports clearly supports that conclusion. I called OCDA a red herring, and I stand by that statement. The first priority in the cleanup should be groundwater in Peter's mine. We should not settle for the scraps that the EPA left us in their terrible record of decision on surface contamination. It shouldn't have been done on its own. They should have waited till they did the groundwater. To separate the two sites is ridiculous. You have the surface and the stuff underneath. How you come up with two decisions, one that says cap everything up top, and the EPA wants to cap it. Don't be fooled by the language. They want to cap it. They just said there'd be too many ATVs running over the cap, so we're going to go with an excavation. They set it up. You cannot excavate O'Connor according to the EPA plan. It calls for the reuse of the mine tailings. This is the stuff where all the pollution flows through, and stick it into Peter's mine. All right, so the tailings that are too dirty, they're going to leave in place, throw 6 inches of soil on it, and call it a day. That's not returning it to a natural habitat. It would be a disaster and would need more remediation. So great, so we put these mine tailings, which are heavy, dense tailings. We put them in top of Peter's mine, which is a tube of contaminated water. What's that going to do? We talked about it last night at the CAG. It's going to press down on Peter's mine. When you press down on water, I've done this with my kids' toys in a bathtub, things pop up in other places. So excavating O'Connor is it's part of the plan. I think it's even the name of the plan says excavation of O'Connor with reuse of mine tailings at Peter's mine. It's not a good plan. We need to come up with a plan of our own. It was a bad plan. We'll leave it at that. It was this council that responded to the residents' concern and delayed the cap decision. They waited past the deadline the EPA had said and only moved forward when threatened directly by the EPA. The EPA did make some threats. It was the EPA that forced the cap decision to move forward. The threats of the EPA should be the focus of our rage, not the responsible actions of this council. Ford and the EPA have been given a free pass, and it's time for that to end. It is time to unite and present a solution on our terms, not theirs. It is time we think outside the confines of the EPA's bureaucrats and develop our own solution, a solution that the whole community can get behind and one that will unite us in our struggle for what is right. Until we have our own vision, we will be at the whim of the polluter and the incompetent bureaucrats. It is a dangerous fallacy to think that this site can be cleaned up in our lifetime. Excavation of OCDA, the O'Connor site, would have taken years and would not bring that area back to a natural state suitable for hunting or recreation. It's a fallacy. Filtering the water in Peter's mine will take decades. The proposed caps on the mines will fail and create additional problems. This area has been poisoned by Ford, and some mistakes cannot be undone. We need to move ahead with a solution that protects human health first, the environment second, and makes the polluter pay. The residents' health needs to be addressed completely. A health center should be set up on site to monitor the residents' condition and spot any changes quickly. There needs to be longitudinal studies. It's been 50 years. We should have that already. We need to make an accommodation to move the residents out of the danger zone. You cannot live on top of an active site that's going to be cleaned for decades. If we work with the state, there may be options or opportunities outside of the actual site. Clearly, the toxins are not going away anytime soon. To continue to live on this site is a continuation of the silent genocide Ford started 50 years ago. Once the area is clear of human residents, a full and complete cleanup can begin. No one should have to live through a decades-long process of treating toxic chemicals in their own backyard. The Jacob report confirms what I've been saying. The groundwater record of decision will go even further in detailing the toxic nature of the water in the mines and their risk to surrounding groundwater. This current council has been on the right side of history. They detected the 1,4-dioxane. They put a hold on plans to cap O'Connor and held out until the EPA threatened them. They have taken the prudent actions despite the outcry of a few vocal residents. Ford poisoned us. The EPA has failed us many times. The New Jersey DEP has failed us. The Highlands Act has allowed pipelines to scar our forests. I was out there in January and February that year, watching them cut down trees, shred them into dust so they could ship them out without people noticing. That went on with the Highlands. What are they actually protecting? They have offered zero support to this site. Meanwhile, our reservoir is threatened. The North Jersey Water Supply Commission is finally waking up, but they failed us to this point. The council is not and deserves our support. Right now, this is trying to be twisted into a couple of seats, and that's wrong. A couple of seats on the council. Please support this council. Please support putting forth a solution that works for Ringwood. Please write your government officials across all levels of government, not just this council, and force them to take the actions they should have taken decades ago. Now is the time. Opportunity waits for no one. If we don't seize the initiative immediately and put the petty old feuds behind us, it will just be another missed opportunity, along with what we've done for the past 50 years. Thank you.
Kathy O'Keefe, 148 Cupsaw Avenue. Good evening, everybody. Wasn't going to speak, but after that, I just wanted to say I am running as a Democrat, as you all know, and I would work with this council hand in hand starting today to clean up that mess up there. Nobody wants to see this pollution stay in our town. A cleanup is the right way to go. Ford did poison us, and we can band together and all fight for the right cause of cleanup. This is something everybody wants, and nobody's trying to fight you on this. We're trying to get you to join us in a cleanup. Thank you.
Did you miss a page?
Thomas Conway, 19 West Circle. No, but this is the second time someone's had to speak after I spoke. Hopefully I'll come to the council meetings and you'll be able to speak then. Last time I was here, I talked about the press. That message got twisted. I came here and said the main driver behind our ratables going down was commercial development in other towns. That message gets twisted. It gets twisted into, what do you mean the toxic site isn't hurting our town? Of course it is. The main driver is other towns developing their areas and us not. Look at our commercial districts. Look at our industrial districts. They're not under constant construction. Drive around other towns and you will see that. I don't like seeing those messages get twisted. If you'd like to argue with me on the spot that our ratables have decreased solely from the Superfund site, I will argue that with you. Superfund site has affected our ratables, but it's not the driving cause. The driving cause is commercial development. The Records article back in early June stated that. I actually am I'm in favor, and I know it's not good for the town and property values, but I'm in favor of the press covering the Superfund site. In a proposal I submitted to the Environmental Commission on which I sit, I said we need to get more press out there. This needs to not be a secret. So just to go back to the issue from last meeting and then some things that were posted online that I saw, I don't want what I said to be twisted into some sort of special game. Well, all I said was commercial development drove the ratables. Superfund news wasn't the main driver. Does it contribute to it? Of course it does. A lot of things contribute to property values, and I won't ignore that. But if you look into the issue, it's Ford and the EPA that had a problem. They created this lose-lose solution. And the more we get the press to focus on Peter's mine instead of O'Connor, the more we can wake up the surrounding neighborhoods to the true danger that affects their water supply. Whereas if you look at O'Connor, people downstream receiving the water will not be that concerned. When we talk about Peter's mine, they will. Thank you.
Mr. Conway, you spoke really fast. Could you leave a copy of your notes with Ms. Rhodey, Ms. Holloway, excuse me?
I can't.
So that she can summarize them, or no?
I can send you some tomorrow. There's a lot of notes I didn't read.
Okay. Sorry, Cal.
That's all right, I got it.
Maybe I'll get a site called Ringwood Reboot. I don't decide.
Hello, Ron Pagano, Skyline Drive. Just a simple little couple questions. I'm told back, I guess the beginning of June, there was some sort of plans or something done with maybe designing something in the downtown area around my property. And I understand maybe the mayor and council has gotten a look at those plans at all. Is there something I could look at since it might reflect my property and maybe the surrounding properties?
Mr. Klimek, you could probably address that?
Well, do you want me to address it now or
Oh, I'm
follow
sorry,
the
I'm
usual
sorry.
protocol?
Yeah, let's gather the rest of the
Okay,
comments,
all right.
and you can address it. That would be good, Dick. Thank you.
The protocol is to state your questions or comments, and after the executive session, they'll all be answered.
Or even after, we just don't want to have it back and forth. It's been getting messy.
I just want to know if I can get some plans, that's all.
We expect at some point
I
there'll
can't
be.
comment on something I didn't see.
Correct.
So I just want to get some plans so I can comment. And if you tell me, yeah, my professionals can have a look at them, just tell me what to do and I'll do it. If you want me to wait, I'll wait.
Why don't you wait until we conclude the
Okay.
session, if you don't mind? Thank you.
No problem.
Okay.
Doug Ruscione, 11 Hillside Road, Ringwood, New Jersey. I'll keep it very short, but just adding it to the pool of questions, I'm just very interested to see with this recent development that the Water Commission with Jacobs Engineering putting together that test. I'm just very curious to see what you all think about the test. Hopefully you've all gone over the report and looked it over and have some thoughts on it. I'm just very interested to see what you guys have to say about it. Thank you.
Venkatal, 24 High Point Lane. Just a couple of things. First of all, the mine tailings are not going to go in Peter's mine if it's excavated. I spoke to Joe Gowers, and he said that probably is not going to happen. And even if some of them did, they would be tested for toxic waste, for pollution. There's 106,400 tons of toxic waste at the O'Connor landfill. And for you to say this is a feud, Mr. Conway, is wrong. It's a difference of opinion. My opinion, after sitting on the council, being around when the Superfund was listed in 2000 and supporting it wholeheartedly, and I never thought there would be a difference between the relisting of the site and a cleanup of the site. I thought it would be a smooth transition. But obviously, this council had other ideas. They wanted to redevelop brownfields redevelopment. Consequently, you hired experts that you hired environmental consultants that are experts in brownfield redevelopment. That's what's going on. You're redeveloping the site instead of cleaning it up by building a recycling center there on tons of toxic waste. The 1,4-dioxane, yes, it was discovered by the council or your consultants, Excel, I guess it was, but you also did not disclose it for quite a while. It had to be disclosed by the Bergen Record. And I don't know, it makes perfect sense living in a watershed community to want your town to clean up a Superfund site. It's just contraindicated to leave tons of toxic waste in a watershed community. And it's not a feud, it's a difference of opinion.
Going for the trifecta. Thomas Conway, 19 West Circle. The record of the decision says mine tailings are going in. The only reason they wouldn't is if they're too polluted to go in which case they get left in place and covered with 6 inches of topsoil. Also, according to the budget,
let's not have.
Only going by the documents, just the facts, ma'am. Also, there is 106,000 tons of material they will remove. According to the budget, 10% of that is budgeted for toxic disposal. That means 90% of the material they remove will not be considered toxic. Where does that go? Goes to Pennsylvania. At least it did in 2007. When they took the stuff out of Ringwood mine sites, they took it through Pennsylvania. That's where the non-toxic stuff goes. Where does the toxic stuff go? This toxic stuff goes to a company called Environmental Quality. Environmental Quality is a company that was started in Detroit. It was a subsidiary of Ford that they then spun off. It's now an independent company. What do they do there? They bake it into cement. They bake it into toxic cement bricks, and they stick it in municipal solid waste dumps. They don't even have special disposal for it. The stuff that they cannot bake into municipal stop zones goes to Sarnia, Ontario, right next to the Chippewa Reservation, 3.5 miles away. It is an open, unlined pit. The toxic waste gets thrown in there. What do the Chippewa Indians have in common? They have pollution issues. They have asthma. They have respiratory issues. They have a 2-to-1 female to male birth ratio. If you know about toxic studies, they do it on animals. They look for overly female ratios. That's toxic. This stuff doesn't disappear. It leaves a trail out of Ringwood across Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Ontario. That's where it's ended up. We have given gifts to other communities. There's no magic formula here. We need to treat this stuff. We need to get it out. We need to get the residents out of there. That's our only solution. Thank you.
Seeing no one? Anyone?
Motion to
No one? Make a motion to close.
I'll
Make a
second.
motion to close real
Got
quick.
it.
You got a motion?
I got it.
I'll second.
I got it.
Roll call on closing public.
Mayor Spear,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Martucci,
Yes.
Council members Landis,
Yes.
Marsala,
Yes.
and Schaefer.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Counselor, do you want to address Mr. Pagano?
Oh,
Mr.
yeah.
Pagano, we expect to have some public meetings. There was a meeting of the planning board. Let me start off, and you just poke me in the neck if I talk too much. Yeah, we're not gonna have it back and forth. I'm just gonna
Good,
stick
thank
with
you.
these. We did have a meeting in the beginning of June. It was a planning board meeting and a joint planning board meeting, Borough Council meeting, where our professionals showed us some plans that they had been working on as part of the planning board's an economic sustainability plan, part of which was funded by the Highlands Council as part of our Highlands master planning process. We kind of got permission from the Highlands Council to extend what their standard economic sustainability plan was for our particular needs. During that process, the whole COA thing kind of unraveled. And there was an affordable housing requirement put on the borough. The borough was expected to provide 299 units, I believe, was our total count. Is what our opposition there, which I think is the Berkshire Housing Center, is proposing to the special master in our particular case. So we're working through that. What we are looking to do is some kind of redevelopment of the shopping center areas, possibly adding a residential component, that some of that would have affordable housing set-asides to it. But in order to do that, there needs to be some kind of sewerage being taken care of. So all these things were looked at and studied and kind of synthesized into, it's not quite a plan, but it is it is kind of a roadmap towards where this might go if the community is interested in proceeding with it.
And this is all at the conceptual stage.
Yes.
Nothing's
very
written in
much so.
stone. And for the record, we're in litigation, and Mr. Pagano and his companies are a party to the litigation. So Mr. Pagano does have legal counsel who we could dialogue with at any time. But what you said is correct, but the key point is these are conceptual moves to satisfy this affordable housing suit. The Supreme Court has ordained that most municipalities in this state must have some low and moderate income component to it. As the mayor said, the primary mover, the Fair Share Housing Council, in their reports, called for about 299 units of low, moderate, and Ringwood. We disagree with that figure strenuously. We are trying to work out a resolution of that suit. We are balancing within the context of the Highlands Act, which drastically restricts development. As you see, there's very little development going. And another objective is to breathe some life into the central district of Ringwood, the shopping areas, because under the current Highland law, what we can basically do is redevelop, but not develop virgin land. Perhaps redevelop what is already done. That's our objective. So we're juggling a lot of balls here to try to satisfy Highlands regulations, to try to satisfy low and moderate income and Supreme Court dictates, and to be fair to everybody and to give incentives to property owners to develop their properties rationally in the interest of everybody in Ringwood. But as I said, this is a litigation, this is a conceptual stage, we're moving on. We had told your attorney, I believe in a conference a month or two ago, that we were working on this.
I was there.
Yeah, oh, you were in the conference, that's right. So you know where it is. And Tom Dunn, our special counsel on this, also a planning board attorney, has been taking the lead and providing all the very significant input. So if your counsel wants to talk to us, of course, he's free at any time to contact us, and we could let him know where it is. But we've basically given you the outline of where it is. Okay?
All right, yeah, just trying to keep some transparency here that, every time I want to talk to somebody, I got to go to my attorney, it's got to go to you, got to go to whoever, then it's got to come back to chain of commands. It's kind of
That's what it is. We
not
get
too
into a
productive.
lawsuit, Mr. Pagano.
Well, it's a little negative productive, but at least you're going in the right direction. I just had some questions, but I'll ask them later on, I guess, like you said, the sewerage, how's that being addressed? I'd like to know that someday, but you might have that information now. I don't know. I'll have my attorney ask those questions, but it's just so simple if I could just say, hey, can you give us some of this stuff here? But if you want me to go through that whole process, I can. It's not a big, it's not a big deal. I just wanted to see, don't want to hold you up in any way, shape, or form. Always trying to help, but I know you got a lot on your plate here, and the treatment plant or whatever you decide to do with the wastewater is really the way to go. I know my property can handle it, but it doesn't work with maybe, the state and their thinking. So you're telling me just basically wait, or go through my attorney and see if maybe there's some sort of conceptual plan we can get, because what happens if the property owners don't like this conceptual plan? You're wasting your time.
Listen, I think what they're telling you is you're represented by counsel. According to law, we cannot talk to you directly without your attorney being here. They had an executive session, so we really can't address it, but it will be addressed down the road. So we can't address it. You're represented by counsel.
I could do that.
Unfortunately, you can't do that here, and you know that.
I'm trying to save you guys more money.
I
Don't
understand.
worry about my money. I'm trying to save you guys money
Sounds
by
like the law.
saying,
So, thank you.
that's really the way I thought would be the
Mr.
best
Pagano,
way to
while
be
you're
transparent.
important in the litigation, there's a lot of other properties and components to it, although yours is
Sure,
important.
I know 'em all.
We appreciate that, yeah.
Okay. I'll have my attorney do it.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
Just a couple other comments from what some members of the public were speaking about. Join us in the cleanup. A statement like that does not get to the granular level of detail that you actually need to make sure that the taxpayers are protected. A cleanup sounds great, but they actually have 3 land areas under 1 operating unit in this site, and they have a groundwater operating unit here, and there's 4 different things to clean up, and maybe even more if you want to separate out the groundwater emanating from Peter's Mine versus the groundwater emanating from Cannon Mine and such. So join us in the cleanup is a nice sounding term, but it's kind of vacuous and really doesn't get you to what has to happen. There was a comment about the press, and there was a comment about the Jacobs report. The Jacobs report really did not merit like 3 articles in the Bergen Record, and got picked up by the Associated Press and was getting printed in the Bozeman Times out in Montana and all across the country. I mean, these guys tell you right there that their scope is limited. They did not do any work. All they did was review existing documents. Jacobs has not conducted any testing or participated in the preparation of any of the reports provided for the Ringwood Mines Superfund site or the remediation plan. This report is limited to a review of the available documents on the EPA website, which is referenced herein and listed in the references section. That's all they're doing. They're just taking a look at what was already published. What they talk about, a lot of times you can find it really quick. Go to January 2015, Arcadis, it's on the EPA website, Arcadis's groundwater remedial investigation report. You can skip dozens and dozens of pages, go right to the part where it says conceptual site model. Read those. There's 3 of them. There's one for O'Connor, there's one for Peters Mine Pit, there's one for Cannon Mine Pit. And that's pretty much what they're talking about in here. All the data is the data that's in there. There's nothing new. And overall, I found it, sloppy. I don't appreciate some of the inferences that this thing has in it. But we'll wait and see what the EPA, when the EPA forwarded it to the CAG, I think they forwarded it with a letter saying that they're taking it under review, but they don't see this as changing anything in particular for their purposes. And just thinking about it from as a practical matter, if I was the North Jersey District Water Supply Commission, if I was sitting on that board and my ratepayers had no chance of having to pay for it, I would demand the world. However, I can't do that because the board I'm sitting on right here, the council in the Borough of Ringwood, our taxpayers and the borough is considered a potentially responsible party. Our taxpayers could wind up paying for some of this. Once that comes to bear, we actually have to take a look at it and make sure that that money is not being wasted. That's not a pointless exercise just to make some people feel good. That's actually going to do some actual physical good. That's why we look at these things a little bit harder. I think they did kind of put the kibosh on the whole seismic activity chances there. That was kind of helpful, and that was something I hadn't seen before, and I can't seem to find the actual memo that they reference. But yeah, the Jacobs report is what it is. It's somebody else looking at all the data and throwing out. They do not say whether or not they agree with the methods or the conclusions of any of the reports that were written. All they're doing is summarizing it for their client and throwing in a recommendation because, hey, they don't got to pay for it, so why worry? Mr. Conway, I appreciate you pointing out that the OCDA is mostly solid, what they call municipal waste. That's what it is in the documents. Because they did a lot of test pits. They did trenches where they dug 10, 12 feet down all across the length of the O'Connor disposal area and a couple trenches across it. They have a pretty good idea of how much material is in there. The DEP, when they did the what do you call that? The explanation of significant differences, which was when we went and changed from the original record of decision over to the contingency remedy. The DEP says, yeah, we don't think there's a lot of contaminated material in there. So that's kind of how everybody sees it. The point about redevelopment professionals, you gotta stop this silliness. The former borough attorney, I went to a seminar he gave where he was listed as the keynote speaker and the preeminent redevelopment attorney in the state of New Jersey. Redevelopment's a good thing, and attorneys want to do that kind of stuff. There seems to be very little market for the law and engineering kind of horsepower you need to take a site through the Superfund process or the cleanup process from NJDEP to turn it into a forest. They really need some kind of economic benefit from the site in order to justify spending the money in the site there, just kind of the way it works. So the best thing you can do with these sites generally is redevelop them in some kind of manner. And yes, and all these professionals will work on redevelopment sites. It's just the way it is. It's what the private market, requires of these folks in order to do any kind of business. Yeah, I think that about covers all the points I wanted to touch on. Anybody else on anything?
Just quick question.
Yes.
Who owns Peters Mine?
It's about like 90% of it is on the state of New Jersey property, and there's like a small sliver. I don't even know if it actually touches the actual Peters Mine pit that the borough owns.
So is the state responsible for
It's
it?
the borough. It's the state's property. Just as we're the landowner in OCDA and Cannon Mine, the state is the property. Is that correct, Mr.?
It's even less than that. It's, as a matter of, we had a stakeout, there's a gore there between the properties, but it is, if not all,
Just
the
barely.
state of New Jersey, it's
Just
barely,
barely.
ours, and the contamination is in the state park property.
Correct.
So who's responsible for cleaning it up?
Well, unfortunately, the state of New Jersey has not been named as a responsible party. I'm not sure why, because I've been preaching this since I got involved. The state of New Jersey acquired the land from Ford Motor Company knowing it was used for dumping, whereas we acquired O'Connor Disposal Area by tax foreclosure. So if we are a responsible party by definition of ownership, how in the world is the state of New Jersey not a responsible party? I've asked this countless times with the EPA. They are not going to name the state of New Jersey.
And the state of New Jersey has already given their concurrence on the first record of decision regarding the land areas and the caps. The state of New Jersey concurs with 3 caps on those sites.
Mayor, I'm going to talk about this a little bit later. Do you want me to do it now, or would you rather wait till later?
This is what?
The reservoir report and the, it's up to you.
Yeah, while we're talking about it, we want to hit those points?
Yeah, you're exactly right. The reservoir report, though it has some inaccuracies, there are some good parts to it. And you are correct. It's exactly what we already knew. They took all the information that we already had, and they reviewed it, and they came up with the study. And as a matter of fact, we met with the reservoir today, in the EPA at their facility to talk about the report. This was something that we had scheduled to go over it, and we believe that the reservoir should have a seat at the table. And it was a very productive meeting. The Ford Motor Company had a representative there, but the rest of them called in. EPA was involved, and our professionals. And we talked about a lot of the different issues. There were a couple things that we wanted to clarify. Things like the recent monitoring wells were not in their report, and the recent studies that were done were not in their report. And a few, there was a couple inaccuracies. But overwhelmingly, the things that we do have in common is our professional, Laura Dodge, has been saying for quite some time that she wants more data, she wants more testing, she wants more. She's been saying this to EPA for a long time. EPA is saying, listen, we have enough data. Well, we don't think on some of these things we do. So we agree with the reservoir in that context. We also agree that, listen, that we may not necessarily agree with the manner in which they would like to do an active, or the suggestion of the active remediation, but we believe that, listen, water is important, and we do know, and you're right, Mayor, the report confirms, in our discussions today, we all agree that the contamination is not O'Connor Disposal Area, it's coming from Peters Mine Pit and the air shaft. So that's all of the professionals believe that, as well as the EPA and the DEP. So some type of active remediation might make some sense. We're getting a lot of data from the reservoir so that we can do some of these modeling. We talked about the placement. They admitted today that, I don't want to say admitted as if that's a bad thing. They acknowledged today that they don't have all the data relative to the way the paths are, and they wanted to meet with our professionals to talk about where they think wells should be after they look at the wells that were put in after their report was started. I think their report started more than a year ago. So it was very productive, and I think that there's some good stuff that's going to come out of this. I think we pushed back on the EPA a little bit and said, hey, listen, we originally said that separating the groundwater and the land remedies was not a good idea. They did it anyway. They wanted us to submit further reports, and we kind of said from the Borough of Ringwood, we don't draft them, Ford does, but we said, listen, the reservoir has drafted a report. We feel obligated to listen to the report, look into the report, see if we can get some modeling together, see if we can get some data. There's 29 billion gallons of water in the reservoir. Where does it come from? How does it get here? Where are the points of entry in the streams? You know, like, where have you done testing? So, very productive. So I think we're going to have some more good things coming from that. I certainly thank the reservoir for inviting us to their facility and honoring our request for a meeting. And I think that we'll continue to work together because, let's face it, we all have the same interests at heart. So that's kind of a summary of what I'm going to talk about a little bit later in that particular vein. So.
Very good. All right. Thank you, Mr. Heck.
I
Further?
just kind of, yeah, no, I was going to say in response to Mr. Ruscione, after reading the report, I also didn't feel that there was much new information that was brought to light. I feel like a lot of it was stuff that I had already read in my investigations. I definitely also agree that Peter's Mine and the air shaft seems to be a major problem, and I believe that. I also wanted to say that that from where I sit, the safety of our water is non-negotiable for me. I lost my father 4 years ago, but my father had a T1 water treatment license. And so I grew up understanding the value of the importance of clean water. And so that is something that you can rest assured that I don't, I take very seriously. Something out of the CAG meeting yesterday that I went to was that somebody had said moving forward, they were recommending water testing should include the Ringwood wells. And I do agree with that, but correct me if I'm wrong, was that done? Were the wells, the Ringwood wells were monitored, correct? Was there water samples that came out of the wells?
The EPA has all of our water samples.
Okay.
The EPA, it's on the New Jersey Water Watch. We submitted them all to them. We send them all the time. So yeah, it is part. It is
Okay, I just want to make sure that that was done because that was something that was brought up yesterday, and that was something that was of concern to me, and I wanted to make sure that moving forward that those wells were that they were included in that
Yeah,
they were
all that
they are
is
being
part of the
monitored.
record. All that is.
Okay, it's part of the record, right? Okay, and I also just wanted to say, to the community members, after doing some research and reading this, I want people to understand that that while these are issues that we do need to address, and we are, the current data indicates that the Wanacue Reservoir has not been impacted by site contamination and is not expected to be impacted by site contamination. That is part of what the EPA has said. That is a statement issued from them. And I just want people to, there's a difference between panic and having, a sense of urgency that this does need to come to a conclusion, that we do need to get this done. But right now, I would be of the opinion that there is no need to panic. And I know that when our community members, as you touched on, Mayor, are seeing things in the newspaper, and some of the headlines would create pandemonium for people. And I don't feel that we are at that point. I do feel that this is important stuff. I feel that this does need to be tended to. But again, I'm reading, all the data that I have. And, 10 o'clock at night, this is my reading material. So, again, there's low probability of benzene at noncompliance levels reaching the finished water. This was from the reservoirs report. Based on preliminary analysis of current conditions at the site, there's low probability of 1,4-dioxane threatening the Wanacue Reservoir intake or resulting in noncompliance to the maximum contaminant level in the finished water. So again, I just want to make sure that the community members know that we do take this very seriously. We are addressing these issues, but again, no need for absolute, pandemonium. The reservoir is not contaminated, and it's not expected to be. So that is just the way that I know you had asked how council members felt. So I wanted to address you.
And
You are
you
welcome.
asked last night
Anytime.
after the meeting. 'Cause
Correct.
You said, my phone usually rings. So I know you read your stuff at night. I
do.
And you said, you asked me about the question about the wells, and you said,
I did.
and back in 2013, when 1,4-dioxane, the tests were originally created for testing 1,4-dioxane, they had a hard time having tests that were accurate and could read low enough. And what they had at some of the tests were trace slash non-detect. So some of the instruments wouldn't go low enough. So we had 2 wells that had, in 2013, had a trace amount, which could never be confirmed ever again. We went to the new revised method, because there's a new method for testing.
Okay.
That updated that, because 1,4-dioxane is a relatively new
Relatively new.
contaminant.
That's what I
So
have been
they were-
learning.
They were trying to find a way where there were not as many misdiagnoses, if you will, or whatever they want to call it. So they went to this new test, and we've tested it since then. We've never had any. And we had 2 traces in Brookside and Valley Road. But that's not to be confused with a hit where you're hitting some of the levels. This is trace or under amounts, but it couldn't go lower than that. So that answers that question. So that did happen in 2013 when we tested all the wells, and we've tested them since and not been able to replicate that with the new style of testing that that is now approved.
Okay. Thank you.
Next on the agenda, old business. Public hearings and final passage of ordinance.
Yes, we have an ordinance. It's ordinance 2017-06. If I have a motion to read it by title.
I'll move. Second.
Roll call, read by title.
Mayor Spear.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Martucci.
Yes.
Councilmembers Landis.
Yes.
Marsala.
Yes.
Schaefer.
Yes.
Okay, an ordinance amending Chapter 7, Traffic of the revised ordinance of the Borough of Ringwood, Section 7-14, parking prohibited at all times on certain streets to amend Van Dunk Lane and add Cannon Mine Road. The matter could be open for a public hearing unless
Okay.
Mr.
Yes,
Heck
Mr. Heck, you want to
wants
just
comment.
take us through this again? We talked about this last month, I think.
Yeah, this is a public hearing on, the residents actually talked to me. This is something the residents are looking for, because they've been having some issues with people doing things they shouldn't in front of the home. So they asked for these no parking. So it's going to be the whole easterly side of Cannon Mine Road, the entire length, with the exception of, for the playground area of Van Dunk Lane. And this is just going to help them with parking and whatnot going on in front of their homes.
Very good. The matter is now open to the public. Any member of the public wishing to speak regarding ordinance number 2017-06, please come to the microphone, state your name and address for the record.
Seeing no one, I move to close.
I'll second.
Second,
Okay, no, Mark's going to be.
Hold on. Mark's gonna-
could we have roll call on closing public?
Mayor Spear.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Martucci.
Yes.
Councilmembers Landis.
Yes.
Marsala.
Yes.
Schaefer.
Yes.
Okay, I'll recite a resolution. Resolved that ordinance 2017-06 is read by title, be and is hereby adopted, and the municipal clerk is directed to publish notice of passage of same in the official newspaper of the municipality.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Mayor Spear.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Martucci.
Yes.
Councilmembers Landis.
Yes.
Marsala.
Yes.
Schaefer.
Yes.
We have no more ordinances, Mr. Mayor.
Very good. Next on the agenda, resolutions.
Thank you, Mayor. Resolution 2017-132, whereas the Chief Financial Officer has certified the funds are available for the payment of the current bill list in the amount of $565,137.82. Supplemental payments in the amount of $3,620,311.87, and merchant services fees in the amount of $106.63, credited to the following accounts for a total of $4,185,556.32, of which $3,077,431 is going to Passaic County.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Any discussion?
I know I've asked the question a couple times. What is the merchant services fee?
That's the fees, credit card payments as well.
We have a motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Mayor Spear.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Martucci.
Yes.
Councilmembers Landis.
Yes.
Marsala.
Yes.
Schaefer.
Yes.
I think this next faction is...
I'm gonna pass on to our able Deputy Borough Manager for the liquor licenses.
Okay, Resolution 2017-133, be it resolved that the Municipal Council of the Borough of Ringwood hereby approves the renewal of the following liquor license for the State of New Jersey Department of Law and Public Safety, Division of Alcohol, Beverage Control for fiscal year 2017-2018, effective July 1st, 2017 through June 30th, 2018. This is for Doughtage Inc., which is Artis, license 1611-33-006-010.
I'll move.
Second.
Just as general statement, Kelly.
Yes.
Tax clearances were received as
Yes.
usual?
Yes.
And no written objections to
Correct.
grants? And no adverse police reports?
Correct.
Thank you.
Yep.
Roll call, please.
Mayor Spear?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Martucci?
Yes.
Councilmembers Landis?
Yes.
Marsala?
Yes.
Schaefer?
Yes.
Okay, the next one is 2017-134. Be it resolved that the Municipal Council of the Borough of Ringwood hereby approves the renewal of the following liquor license for the State of New Jersey Department of Law and Public Safety, Division of Alcoholic Beverage Control for fiscal year 2017-2018 for Monahan Restaurant LLC. That is, yes, Prime 15. License number 1611-33-007-012.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Mayor Spear?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Martucci?
Yes.
Council members Landis?
Yes.
Marsala?
Yes.
Schaefer?
Yes.
This next one is for our distribution license, 2017-135. Be it resolved that the Council of the Borough of Ringwood hereby approves the renewal of the following liquor license for the State of New Jersey Department of Law and Public Safety, Division of Alcoholic Beverage Control for fiscal year 2017-2018. This is HPSG. This is Ringwood Discount Liquors.
So moved.
Second.
Roll
Is
call,
that,
please.
excuse me, is
Ring-
that closed? No.
No.
That's not the
That's
same.
Wanacue.
That's
Okay,
Wanacue.
Yeah.
This is O'Hara's.
Okay.
I think it was 40 years ago.
Yeah.
Really
I
just
know.
say that?
I
I
did.
shouldn't have been drinking
Some of
today.
us
Kelly,
still-
move on.
I was 7.
Oh, Harris.
Roll call, please.
Yep. Mayor Spear?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Martucci?
Yes.
Council members Landis?
Yes.
Marsala?
Yes.
Schaefer?
Yes.
But you all knew who I was talking about. 2017-136, this is for Reiku Sushi. This is the renewal of their liquor license, 1611-33-001-008 for fiscal year 2017-2018.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Mayor Spear?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Martucci?
Yes.
Council members Landis?
Yes.
Marsala?
Yes.
Schaefer?
Yes.
Okay, this next one, 2017-137, is for the renewal of MVA Associates, which is the new restaurant Maggie's, for renewal 2017 through 2018 for license 1611-32-003-006.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Mayor Spear?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Martucci?
Yes.
Council members Landis?
Yes.
Marsala?
Yes.
Schaefer?
Yes.
Okay, the next one is for Sri Naran LLC. This is for Ringwood Wine and Liquors. This is for the renewal of their license for 2017-2018, license 1611-32-005-006.
So moved.
Second.
And roll call, please.
Mayor Spear?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Martucci?
Yes.
Councilmembers Landis?
Yes.
Marsala?
Yes.
Schaefer?
Yes.
Okay, we are pulling 2017-139 as they did not receive tax clearance. So they will have to do something else.
Not that we're worried they're not going to get it. They might not have filed it in time.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. And I, just so you know, I sent out 3 notices, so I did try to get everybody to do what they needed to. So the next one is 2017-140. This is the renewal of Skyline Lake Property Owners Association for the fiscal year 2017-2018. License number 1611-32-010-002.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, who got that second?
I gave it to Jamie.
Okay. Roll call, please.
Mayor Spear.
Yes.
Council members Landis.
Yes.
Marsala.
Yep.
And Schaefer.
Yes.
Okay.
Note for the record that Councilman Martucci.
Oh, I'm sorry. Actually, it'll be Deputy Mayor James Martucci recused himself from this license as he has a conflict because he's the president of Skyline Lakes Property Owners Association. We are allowed to process the license, however, because we still have a majority of the council voting. We have a majority vote. Okay, I think that's it for me, right?
Okay.
Did you want to speak, Mark?
Yes, Mr. Morano.
This area needs affordable housing. and the whole state of New Jersey too. Passaic County will need some stores to be put in, such as Kohl's.
We're trying, Mark. We're trying.
And Marshalls would be.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mark.
Thanks, Mark.
Did you want to do the next one, or are you going to talk about that?
We're going to talk about it a little bit, but
Okay.
this is Resolution 2017-141. You know, every year I go around the building and find every little scrap that we can sell, and Kelly does an awesome job of doing an auction. This is a resolution just for some things that we have laying around that we'd like to auction off. It helps to bring revenues back into the borough, and I'm kind of surprised at the amount of money that we bring in for some of these things. And you know, Kelly should be commended for what she does to get this done. So with that, Resolution 2017-141 is a resolution authorizing disposal of surplus property, which is listed in the attached. I'm not going to read the whole resolution, but these are just items we're declaring surplus, in addition to other items that we have already declared surplus.
And some of the examples are extra vehicles, right, Scott?
Yeah, old vehicles, old police cars, old DPW trucks, seized cars from whatever case may be, old chippers and spreaders and resistant fire cabinet. I mean, anything that's not nailed down, I can't believe it, but there's a market for it. So anyway, so this is the kind of stuff that
Kelly,
we
don't
do every
leave
year.
Don't leave your glasses laying.
No, you better not. And by declaring these items surplus, it allows us to then put them in the, do the legal notice and conduct the auction, which will be held shortly after 4th of July week. And the fire truck will go out for an entire month, so that one will extend a little bit further than this one.
Notice Kelly waited to turn the air on until I was speaking, so
I-
I couldn't
I-
stop
I-
her.
Okay, so we just need a motion.
We need a motion in a second, Mayor.
Okay.
So moved.
Got a motion? Councilman Marcelo?
Second.
Councilwoman Landis? Roll call, please.
Mayor Spear?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Martucci?
Yes.
Councilmembers Landis?
Yes.
Marsala?
Yep.
Schaefer?
Yes.
Thank you.
Resolution 2017-142 is, this is approval of Chapter 159. Anytime you get revenues, to bring them into your budget, you have to do a 159. And this is something that we anticipate, but every year we do this. It's $31,122.36, and this comes from Clean Communities, and we bring it into our budget to spend on appropriate items, whatever that might be. So Resolution 2017-142 is the approval of a Chapter 159 to accept this and put it into the budget.
So moved.
Second.
This is a pretty good number for
Yeah,
us.
we-
Yes,
They,
we did well.
They used to have them all published. It used to be a spreadsheet that you'd get from the
They do.
Business Solid Waste. They couldn't find that on their website anymore at the state.
No, they still have
Oh,
it.
they have it?
Yeah?
Yeah.
Still have it.
They have a spreadsheet that's for 2017.
Correct.
But they don't have it going all the way
Oh,
back.
okay.
You know, because at some point, we jumped from 17,000 or so to this 31 number at some point. I don't know,
There's a lot of
years ago.
factors that go into it. This is good because revenues from recycling are significantly down because the market's flooded with the amount of product, which drives the price down. So this stuff really helps us in order to further some of our programs.
program, yeah.
You know, so, and it's kind of them giving our money back, but I don't want to go into that.
Well, you know what, and by any means. Okay, we have a motion and a second. Correct, Kelly? So
Yes.
Roll call, please.
Mayor Spear?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Martucci?
Yes.
Councilmembers Landis?
Yes.
Marsala?
Yes.
Schaefer?
Yes.
Resolution 2017-143, whereas a contract was awarded on September 20th, 2016 to D&M Radio Service Corp., communications service integrators to supply T-Tron console equipment for the police department. We replaced our police radios and all our communication system that were desperately needed after 20-some years. Whereas the Chief Financial Officer, W. Buchanan, has submitted and recommends progress payment and the final payment, invoice 58007 dated May 4th, 2017, in the amount of $26,857 for the work completed. Now therefore be it resolved, the Municipal Council, the Borough of Ringwood hereby approves progress payment number 4 final for the same invoice number in the amount of $26,857.67 to D&M Radio Service, doing business as Communication Service Integrators of Chester, New Jersey.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Mayor Spear?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Martucci?
Yes.
Councilmembers Landis?
Yes.
Marsala?
Yes.
Schaefer?
Yes.
I have one more in green. This is small. This is a bill that didn't make the list, and I like to make sure that our litter vendors get paid. This is resolution number, Kel?
149.
49. Be resolved, Municipal Council of the Borough of Ringwood hereby approves the payment to Van Vort Farms in the amount of $304.70, and this is for some of our plantings that we've done around town. And this
Oh,
is-
okay. I was gonna ask what that was for.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Mayor Spear.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Martucci.
Yes.
Councilmembers Landis.
Yes.
Marsala.
Yep.
Schaefer.
Yes.
Scott, just a quick question before, on the radios for the police cars, are they installed and operating?
Everything's installed and operated. Our repeaters are installed, our communication desk is installed, everything.
Coverage is,
It's the same company that we used when we did the original radio, so yes, the coverage is the same. It's, the problem is where the buttons and the switches and some of the components you couldn't get replacement parts for because they were out of date. So, yeah, everything's in and been installed and working. That's all, Mayor, for resolutions.
Very good. Very good. Next on the agenda, consent agenda resolutions.
Okay.
Kelly, if you would.
Yep. Whereas the Mayor and Council of the Borough of Ringwood has reviewed the consent agenda consisting of various proposed resolutions, and whereas the Mayor and Council of the Borough of Ringwood is not desirous of removing any resolutions for individual action from that agenda. Now therefore be it resolved that the following resolutions on the consent agenda are hereby approved. 2017-144, approval of consent. 2017-145, authorized redemption tax sale certificate various. 2017-146, professional service invoice, water system, computer modeling, contract number 2016-105 in the amount of $7,050. 2017-147, professional service invoice, rehabilitation of the Skyline Drive 792 water tank project, contract number 2015-102 in the amount of $2,440.69. And 2017-148 is the approval of the public officials bond for the library director.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Mayor Spear.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Martucci.
yes.
Councilmembers Landis.
Yes.
Marsala.
Yep.
Schaefer.
Yes.
Okay. Next on the agenda, the manager's report.
Thank you, Mayor. I have a couple things to go through tonight. First of all, I want to tell everybody that the rehabilitation of the Skyline Drive water tank is complete. The controls are all in, the project is 100% complete. At this point, we are now going to work on the soils, but we're doing, that's outside of the contract, that's our project, which we will have Excel Environmental do, just like she did the garage, and we will get that fixed and cleaned up. There's some remaining paint and stuff from the previous, I guess, 20 years ago. We did tests before we did the tank. We did tests after. The soil levels remain the same, so they're going to clean that up. So they don't anticipate it's going to be a major project, but nevertheless, we're going to do that. Similarly, the Skyline Booster Pump Control project is complete. We do have a minor problem with one of our pump starters. Those breakers for those 65 horsepower pumps sometimes go bad. They're 20 years old. We had a problem with one of the breakers which took out our starter. We're talking about going maybe to variable speed bumps, which might save us a little bit in electric, and we can control the water and we can match it to our wells so that we're not purchasing as much water. So we're looking, if we're going to replace it, we might as well upgrade those, and we're talking about that right now, and that's something that we're hoping to get done in the next couple weeks.
Yeah, you don't just upgrade one. You upgrade one or you upgrade two plus a spare.
Well, we have three pumps there. We have pumps that rotate, and then we have what I call an Armageddon pump, which when we need when we need 800 gallons a minute to go up the hill, we turn on the second pump, and it's all automated. But we have a valve that controls the amount. In other words, sometimes we're pushing on that valve, and we're not letting any more that goes up the hill so that we match what we have. So we'll be able to take that valve out to control that, and we'll be able to adjust the volume of the pumps based upon the output of the particular pump or what we're getting, so that we won't have to purchase reservoir water as much. We've minimized it. When I first came here, I think we purchased $350,000 a year worth of water with managing of our water system and fixing our wells and really watching the system. We purchased probably less than 20 a year, so that's a significant savings. But Jeff and I watch every dollar that we have. So that's one of the things we're talking about, but that's separate and apart from this controller. It's just one of those ongoing things that when stuff happens, you got to fix it. Excuse me. The 2016 tax map revisions in New Jersey submittal, the revisions have all been made for 2016. We're trying to get all of our maps up to date. It's anticipated that the revised tax submittal will be submitted to the state of New Jersey, and we think that'll be like a 6-week timeframe. So that's something that's getting completed. Cupsaw Drive, phases 6 and 7, we've received a grant from the DOT to complete the Cupsaw Drive project. We plan to finish the entire project as well as mill and pave the loop in West Circle. That's on our program for this year. We're kind of pushing the program a little bit because I would like to just get Cupsaw Drive done. I think it's been a long time going around the lake with DOT grants. We're probably going to have to put a little bit of our money in to do it. But I think the residents over there have been patient, and we really could use to finish that up.
Yeah, agreed. But we only have a limited number of roads that get qualified for the
DOT grant,
local
yes.
aid.
Yes.
So we do have a road that, we have the next grant road in mind.
We do.
Before we, stop, I know, I don't, and I appreciate their, the patience that the Cupsaw folks have had as we go around in grant cycles. But I just don't want to, spend our money where we can get next year's DOT grant to it. You got to figure it out.
We actually maxed out the grant, and we're putting all the grant that we got to this.
Yes.
But we're not doing as much drainage in this part because it's a hill section and we don't have any easements and so forth. So it's not as easy. We're putting a little bit of drainage in. But if we just followed the grant, we'd be like 800 feet short of paving the entire road.
You can't leave it.
I can't do that. There were a couple things that we wanted to do in addition, some swales, some side paving areas, and so look, if we're this far along, if we have to invest a little bit into it as well, we're going to do that, because we do have plenty of roads we can use the DOT grant for next year. So that's a welcome change. Insurance costs, and I hear this all the time, well, we have insurance, but I'm going to tell you, insurance companies don't like to pay. And while our insurance company has voluntarily offered to pay the 15% requirement match that we have for the Upper Ringwood cleanup, we're obligated to pay 15%. Ford's obligated to pay 85%. The insurance company I've negotiated where they pick up our 15%. They do this with their reservation of rights, so at any time they can technically stop. But what's important is insurance companies don't like to pay. I think I started out with that. And here's an example. We haven't even started with the remedy. We haven't even started with excavation. We haven't started with the real, not that they haven't spent a lot of money in investigative work and defense costs of us. But as of right now, the insurance company, before we really ramp this up to where we're actually moving material, owes the borough about $22,000. We don't know how much they owe Ford Motor Company because they're supposed to be paying Ford Motor Company their percentage of their cost. And let me tell you why that matters. You would think, why would we care what the insurance companies owe Ford? But I'm going to tell you why it matters. Because, like I said a few minutes ago, we're obligated to pay 15% of the remedy. If the insurance company doesn't pay Ford, who do they come after? They come after the Borough of Ringwood.
Right.
The Ringwood is the person that signs on the bottom line where we're responsible. The fact that we got the insurance companies to pay doesn't mean necessarily that if the insurance companies don't pay, and they're a year behind in their payments, they're a year behind. So, like our professionals, I'm going to give you an example, and this is credit to Wanda Monahan, who worked for the Attorney General's office. I didn't understand that comment before because Wanda Monahan worked for the Attorney General's office prosecuting polluters. Am I correct, Mr. Klimak?
Yes.
So I didn't understand what that whole development thing was.
Including some in this area. by the
Yeah,
way.
including somebody very close
I'll
to
say
you.
alleged, but she had some cases here.
So Wanda and Laura continue to represent us, and they're owed collectively $98,000 from carriers. So, you got to keep in mind that insurance company's job is to not pay, and it's a continual, it's a continual fight. So I just want to let you know I've been working on that. I went down and I met with the carriers, and I kind of draw my line in the sand as best I can, and I think they're going to start, some of that funds are going to start flowing. But if it's like this now, what's it going to be like when there's millions of dollars going through? So anyway, I just bring that to your attention. Something we talked about once before. Mr. Klimak, you might be able to help me with this. We have a tolling agreement with the EPA right now. Tolling agreement, if I just extends the time by which the EPA can file an action against us to recover costs or sue us for whatever case may be. They asked us to extend it 6 months, I believe, the last time, so that they can extend the time by which they can sue us for whatever the case may be. They're asking for another 3-month extension, which will bring us approximately to September 26th. I think that we should do it. I mean, what are we going to do? Our exposure is our exposure is our exposure. If we draw a line in the sand today and say no, they're just going to file an action. So I recommend, Mr. Klimek, if you could if you could just recite a resolution extending it the 3 months to approximately September 26th. I don't know the exact date in front of me, but it's the exact same tolling agreement that we filed with the
Yes,
3
so
months extension.
had the carrier council inputted on this?
I would have to ask Ms. Monahan.
All right, okay, well, we could just, okay, we can handle that, okay.
You can say subject to.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
The tolling agreement was, what was the subject of that? What's the potential action?
Mr. Klimek could
Yeah,
explain.
there's, as you know, there's a statute of limitations
Right.
wherein a claim has to be brought. Well, what the EPA is saying that the statute has run out. Would we extend the time if they want, it's running out, would they extend the time if they feel they have to sue us for something? Now, if we say no, then that may prompt them to file a suit, so just to protect their rights, okay? We had that many years ago. In the 1990s, during the first round of this, they asked for a tolling agreement, EPA, and it's a normal thing. Nobody gives up their rights, okay, and it gives the parties more time to negotiate. That's what it is essentially, okay. Otherwise, you're going to force somebody's hand. If it gets into litigation, you're trying to negotiate complex issues. If you add a lawsuit to the top of it, as you know, it makes it very difficult, and it just arouses more animosities and arouses more defensiveness. So if you can toll, and it's without prejudice to either side, nobody's admitting or denying anything because of it. You're just saying, all right, there's more time to file a suit. Okay?
Mr. Klimek, could you recite a resolution?
Yes, I can do it, yeah. Okay. I'll just do it roughly and give it to you. Yeah. Okay. We did it about 6 months ago.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Whereas the Borough of Ringwood authorized a tolling agreement with EPA relative to the Upper Ringwood site, and whereas the time has expired or never expired, therefore it is hereby authorized by the municipal council that permission is given to an extension of the tolling agreement for another 90 days from the date of its initial termination. Okay? This will be subject, of course, to no objection from carrier council.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Mayor Spear.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Martucci.
Yes.
Council members Landis.
Yes.
Marsala.
Yes.
Schaefer.
Yes.
Mayor, we already talked about the reservoir report being exactly what we knew, and, we're gonna look to more testing and try to work with the reservoir, so I don't need to cover that again. I do want to talk about another aspect of the Upper Ringwood issue, though. We talked about this a while ago, the restoration of the old recycling center, and, for several years, we've talked about the possibility of moving the recycling center to the new location and then restoring the old recycling center to its original state. We talked about a couple different functions. We talked about what we may or may not do. I believe that we should do that, and I've spoken to many of the residents up there. I've been working with the residents on a couple different issues, and I get the opportunity to speak to them. This is something that they'd like, and I think in the spirit of what we've been discussing for the last bunch of years, I'd like to memorialize that if we could tonight, and restore that property back to what it was. And we always said that rather than giving or restoring property down to flood levels for the area, why don't we put a recycling center across the street and do something with this property, and so maybe we can keep a small little parking area and a memorial garden of some kind that we can, subject to Ford Motor Company paying for this, and I think that this way you're just moving your operation across the street, and then you're giving back to the environment the piece that you were using for your recycling center, and I really think that we should do that. I would like to